The Visayan society knew no schools or classrooms. Children became functional adults through informal instruction within the family. In the fields of moral, most communities recognized some wise and persuasive elders as a kind of pastor who gave advice in household gatherings. But knowledge of the physical environment was learned from parents. The environment of heavenly bodies and change of seasons, the direction of the wind and recognition of storm signals, the nature and habitats of different species in animal kingdom. All such knowledge might be called natural science. The Visayan called their natural environment Banwa, a word which meant mountain, countryside, terrain, climate, and homeland. The Banwa covered every island from sea to sea, even into the sea, with mangroves growing in salt water. Spanish explorers were often unable to see coastal villages from the trees. A small Visayan population cuts its settlements rather precautiously out of this Banwa, but neither destroyed nor tamed it. Its voracious vegetation was always ready to reclaim their fields and gardens, as its crocodiles and pythons were ready to prey on their children and livestock. There are animals the Visayans think of such as bangot or sikop, hawks in whose nest a root or herb could be found which contained the secret of their fishing ability. Barangitaw, a species of small crocodiles friendly to human beings. It drew near to listen to their conversation and allowed them to step on its back to cross the water. Basal, a caterpillar whose hairs caused dangerous infection when accidentally touched, but were harmless if it was seen before touching. Bukaw, it is an owl which was a sure sign of death if it was perched on a rooftop. It always flew in pairs with its mate, and children were told they were witches that come to eat them. Dumurogmon, a black snake that make bark leaf nests and cured wounded snakes of its kind by applying medical herbs. Kulagu or kagwang, a kind of flying squirrel whose loud clear cry at dawn meant there would be no rain that day. Miro, a civet cat which charmed roasting hens with its eyes so they can fell from the branch. The Visayan believed in an extensive menagerie of fabulous bees or ordinary bees with fabulous qualities. A feature of Filipino life which always attracted Spanish attention was their personal cleanliness, especially the frequency with which they took a bath. The upper-class Visayans wanted to have a pleasing body odor. They therefore scrubbed their bodies with permis when bathing, perfuming and oiling them afterwards. They were also careful of personal hygiene, such as applying kulkog or kilikog was to clean out the ears with a feather or swab. Silat was a kind of toothpaste made of vegetable husk for cleaning and polishing the teeth. Bobo was a tree whose scrapings were used as a shampoo to get rid of dandruff. And lastly, puno was a pine comb for removing head lice or ringworm scales on the head. But despite their attention to personal cleanliness, Visayans suffered skin diseases as one of their most common complaints. Some of these were simple discomforts connected with ordinary activities, such as nugas, blisters from poisonous plants, aripunga sores between the toes. More serious were alatay or calamayo, or called erysipelas. More widespread were bangtas, tabahak or tabukaw ulcers, and below glandular swelling, of all which the Spaniards called bubas indiscriminately. Saint Lazarus disease or leprosy was called karanga, kagirkit, or tuyog, with amomotol especially suggesting the loss of fingers or toes. There are 5 categories of Visayan treatment for diseases, which are massage, fumigating or sweating, prescription of medicine, counter sorcery, and lastly propitiation of supernatural beings. The first 3 were indicated for recognizable physical symptoms, the latter 2 for ailments requiring diagnosis for treatment by religious specialists. Abortions were a common form of family planning practiced by ranking ladies to limit their lineage and preserve their heritage, or by others because of poverty or poor prospects for their children. Tambal were all plants, roots, leaves, or bark with medicinal properties, for which reason the Spaniards called tambalan an herbolario, one who has knowledge of plants, their powers and properties. Tambal were taken internally or externally with plasters or poultices distinguished as halkap or tampos. The Visayans have plants for treatment such as agoho, a tree whose leaves were specific against muscle cramps. The leaves were applied to the affected part or used for a bath. Argao, a very medicinal plant, its shoots were boiled and the decoction drunk for stomach ache. Its leaves used as a plaster for headache. It was also used in baths to bring down fevers. Bangati, a vine used as a preventative for epilepsy. Hagonoy, a plant prescribed for bladder stones or other urinary complaints. Lagtang, a potent vine whose root was an antidote for poison, and when sliced, cleared vision. Its fruit was poisonous, but its juice filtered a laxative. Pili, a large tree whose resin was used as a healing balm or an ointment. Salimbagat, a plant whose cooked broth was a specific remedy for bloody stool. Tangan-tangan, a very peppery seeds from which a medicinal oil was made, and whose leaves were good for swelling, chills, and sores. Tigaw, a small tree whose leaves smoked like tobacco or decoction drunk were good for coughs. There were also medicines of animals or mineral origins such as the soils of abandoned termite mounds was good for fumigating. Calculus stones found in a shark's head were a cure for similar stones in the human bladder or kidney. And powdered duyung bones were almost a pantria, good for bloody stools, diarrhea, colds, and fevers. A kind of jet black coral was not only taken internally, pulverized, but worn on the wrist as a jewelry as a preventive for rheumatic pains. Antidotes for poison often had properties more magical than medical. For example, the buntok or the marginals of turtle shells were said to crack in contact with any poison. Diseases with no visible symptoms or those which stubbornly resisted treatment, as well as chronic or lingering illnesses, were attributed to spirits, ancestral or otherwise, who have been wittingly or unwittingly offended by the behavior of the person afflicted. These required diagnosis and prescription by babaylan or daitan, shamans or mediums able to contact the spirit world in a state of trance to learn the nature of the offense and what was required for satisfaction. Prescriptions were the performance of a specific paganito involving the sacrifice of a live animal or other food offerings. These are the ways of the natural science of the pre-Hispanic people.